Hello, my name is Noor Shawa. I'm the Managing Director for Endeavor UAE. We have been operating since December 2013 in the country. So we work with scale-ups, which are entrepreneurs that have achieved product market fit, as opposed to startups. And what's important for us is to focus on these scale-ups because they're the entrepreneurs that basically have that product market fit and are looking to take their business to the next level. The reason why we focus on them specifically is that we find that they are the type of entrepreneurs in multiple markets that tend to be the largest job creators and tend to be the ones that achieve success. And at the same time, what we find is that these entrepreneurs tend to have much less support in an ecosystem than startups do, because they have outgrown what a lot of initiatives that focus on startups have to offer. And they're not large organizations yet. So they tend to have a lot of needs for support because their organization is changing significantly and they need a lot of support. So we tend to focus on these entrepreneurs to help them in that journey. And what sets Endeavor apart is the fact that because we focus on these entrepreneurs that are at the scale-up stage, we're geared as an organization to provide support that's catered to them. So that means that we have an organization full of mentors who are very experienced executives, successful entrepreneurs, top-level consultants and investors who have hands-on experience in terms of scaling up businesses and the different industries to provide mentoring support to these entrepreneurs, to help these entrepreneurs make better decisions, identify blind spots and address them before they become an issue, and to be able to really scale up their business in a much more structured way as opposed to being very opportunistic and losing a lot of energy and resources trying to figure things out. We like to think about this as it's almost like we think about this that an entrepreneur is like somebody going through a dark tunnel and they have a flashlight. So they can only see so much, and they can only move so fast so that they can go through that tunnel. The Endeavor network is the access to the mentors from the Endeavor network is like turning on floodlights for these entrepreneurs, which really helps these entrepreneurs get a lot more visibility, so they can see a lot better and they can make much better decisions and they can move quicker and get further than they would on their own. And what's unique about these mentors that are involved with Endeavor is the fact that they're globally present. So they can be somebody in Brazil or Indonesia or the UAE or Turkey. And very important is that these are people with very, very unique skills and experiences that the entrepreneurs are going through. So being able to access these mentors who are there doing this on a voluntary basis and they have no vested interest and they're really trying to help the entrepreneurs make better decisions without trying to get something in return, gives the entrepreneurs access to that wealth of experience and knowledge so they can make better decisions and move forward with their business. So having worked with Endeavor since launching the office in December 2013, I've had the privilege of being able to see a lot of entrepreneurs go through the selection process locally and internationally. And one of the unique things that we tend to see about these entrepreneurs is that a lot of them struggle with the fact that their business is really transitioning from the startup to the scale-up stage. And they realize that they cannot continue to run their business the same way that they did when they were a startup moving forward. So they realize that they need to change. What we see these entrepreneurs facing in terms of challenges tend to be categorized under access to talent, access to markets, and access to capital. These tend to be the three biggest obstacles that entrepreneurs tend to face that hold them back from scaling their business. So what we do to support entrepreneurs with these challenges is that we give them access to, when it comes to access to markets, they can tap into the Endeavor offices in these other markets. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they tell us that the Endeavor offices in the other countries are like an embassy. So they can hit the ground running, they can access mentors who can help them understand how to operate in these markets and to potentially connect with potential partners. In terms of access to capital, we don't push entrepreneurs to raise funding, but we can introduce them to investors if they are fundraising. And we tell the entrepreneurs that we don't take a commission. We have no vested interest when we connect them to these investors. We actually tell everybody that we sit on the entrepreneur side of the table. So if the entrepreneur needs support in terms of being able to get access to mentors to help them with term sheets, negotiating, even building pitch decks or getting feedback on their pitch decks, they can get support from the Endeavor network. We also have Endeavor Catalyst, which is a co-investment fund that the entrepreneurs have the option to, if they are fundraising an equity round, Endeavor Catalyst can participate in that equity round, and it's a passive investment fund that's rules-based. So it does not take a seat on the board, it does not add any terms to the term sheet, and it's completely passive and does not alter the relationship that the entrepreneur has with Endeavor. In terms of access to talent, which is probably the biggest issue that entrepreneurs tend to face, we can help entrepreneurs by identifying and recruiting top talent. We can help them augment their interview process to be able to identify and to select the right candidates for them. And we can help them in terms of mentoring with mentors that specialize in human capital so that they can better manage their team, to upskill their top talent, and to really be able to really raise the organization so that it's not dependent on the entrepreneur solely to wear all the hats. So the entrepreneur can bring on board that top talent, and that top talent can manage and operate the business in a much more effective way. We also give entrepreneurs access to an advisory board. Typically, an advisory board is like a board of directors meeting, but it's with people that have no equity or no vested interest in the business. And typically, it's 3 mentors that sit with the entrepreneur on a quarterly basis that really focus on strategic issues to help the entrepreneurs make better decisions. And these mentors tend to be people who have relevant experience to the entrepreneur, so they're handpicked to be relevant for the entrepreneur specifically, and they meet with the entrepreneur on a regular basis so that they can address strategic issues. We also provide entrepreneurs access to partners, such as we have a partnership with Harvard, Stanford, and INSEAD, where the entrepreneurs have access to executive programs that are specifically designed for Endeavor entrepreneurs, and they're heavily subsidized. So the entrepreneur pays a very nominal amount, and they get access to these programs that are specifically designed for scale-up stage, and they get to interact with other Endeavor entrepreneurs from around the world, which is a very exciting thing for entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur who has achieved product market fit and you're in the scale-up stage and you're rapidly growing the business and you're looking to really take it to the next level and you're interested in Endeavor, here's what you need to know about Endeavor. The best way to approach the Endeavor selection process is to think of it as a way to pitch your business, to demonstrate that it has the ability to scale your business. But it's also very important for you to also be open to feedback and to actively seek feedback on challenges and issues that you're facing, because it's a unique opportunity to meet anywhere from 12 to 18 mentors from the local and international network who are very experienced, that can give you feedback to help you address issues and really take your business to the next level. So let me tell you a little bit more about how the selection process works with Endeavor. In terms of the selection criteria, the Endeavor network looks for 3 things. We look at the entrepreneur, the business, and the timing. So in terms of the entrepreneur, we're assessing if this entrepreneur has the capability to take the business to the next level. Is he or she open to taking feedback? Will they give back once they achieve success? In terms of the business, we're assessing whether this business has the potential to really scale up significantly, to have 10x or 20x growth. In terms of the timing, it's important for us to focus on that the entrepreneur is not too early in the stage of the business and it's not too late, that it's really at an inflection point where there's going to be the potential or there's already this rapid growth that Endeavor can come in and add value to it. So the selection process is broken up into 4 stages. The first one is where the entrepreneur meets with the local team. Second one is where they meet with 6 different mentors in the local network. The third one is where they meet in a local selection panel. And then it all culminates where they meet in the international selection panel with panelists that come from around the world who meet with the entrepreneurs, and they basically give the entrepreneurs feedback and they decide who's selected as an Endeavor entrepreneur. What's very interesting to note is that even though it's a rigorous process, most of the entrepreneurs that reach the international selection panel often tell us that even if they don't get selected, They got a lot of value out of the process because they met with different mentors and they got a lot of very valuable feedback about themselves and their business that has helped them make better decisions.